call this meeting to order of the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Thursday, October 1st, 2020. Agenda meeting. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Chairman. Freeholder Garrettson.
Present.
Freeholder Granados.
Here.
Freeholder Hudak.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad.
Here.
Freeholder Staton.
Here.
Freeholder Williams.
Here.
And Chairman Mirabella.
Present.
Chairman, you have 8 freeholders present for tonight's meeting.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please lead us in the prayer and salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations to agreement with his will and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, and while we're all coming back on video, Mr. Clerk, please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act.
Certainly, Chairman. The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirements of the New Jersey statutes annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, access of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another remote meeting of the Freeholder Board. As has been our custom, we will begin by thanking our community and all the residents in Union County for their hard work, diligence, and effort during this COVID-19 outbreak. It really has been uplifting to see in many ways people from all walks of life helping, reaching out, helping each other, and protecting one another. Every day I'm more certain than ever that our Union County family will come through this crisis stronger than before. So please stay alert, wear your mask, observe social distancing. With that, also, I have a few updates on county services related to COVID-19. Just a quick reminder, you can get registration information and other details on the Union County COVID website, ucnj.org/COVID-19. The free drive-through COVID-19 test center is operating Mondays and Thursdays at Kane University in Union Township. Our next mobile test unit will be set up in Scotch Plains on October 6th and offer free testing there. By the way, you do not need a car for the mobile test program. In addition, we are launching a new series of flu shot drives to make sure every county resident has access to a seasonal flu shot. In particular, we're reaching out to residents without health insurance, so there are no financial constraints. One flu shot drive is going on right now in Elizabeth at the Peterstown Community Center. The next one will take place at the Plainfield Performing Arts Center on Tuesday, October 8th. You can see a whole schedule of flu shot drives at the website, ucnj.org/COVID-19. And for emergency food assistance during the crisis, our next food distribution event will take place this Saturday, October 3rd, at Cedar Brook Park in Plainfield. Turning now to our Parks Department, we're carefully resuming some activities in our parks with careful modifications for COVID prevention. This includes the annual pumpkin sale at Echo Lake Park in Mountainside. Instead of one night, there will be 2 nights set up for the pumpkin sale, with smaller groups socially distanced each of the nights. Our outdoor nature activities for all ages has resumed at the Trailside Nature and Science Center in Mountainside. We had our first drive-in concert last month, which was very successful, and we're planning another one on October 10th at Cedarbrook Park, featuring a Prince tribute band, Purple Madness. Visit the Parks Department online at ucnj.org/parks to register for any of these events. They do fill up fast, so please don't delay. Also, at Madison Hill Park in Rahway, we just opened up 2 new turf fields, and next Wednesday we will dedicate a nature trail at Phil Rizzuto Park on the border of Elizabeth and Union. Phillips 66 has contributed generously to this project, and I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them for their support. The county received $250,000 state grant to dredge the Clark Reservoir in Clark. I'd like to really take a minute to thank Senator Scutari for his work making these funds available for this project that will help our county and help that reservoir in Clark. I'd also like to draw your attention to the Office of LGBTQ Affairs, which is offering a new bi-weekly online series called Out in Union County, the Queer Power Hour. This is a place for you to connect with the community and hear from New Jersey's most dedicated LGBTQ advocates and allies. For more details, visit ucnj.org LGBTQ. Just last night, my wife Phyllis and I had an opportunity to participate with several other parents of LGBTQ children on a night of a nice forum to discuss how it is parenting with an LGBTQ member of your family. And I thought it was a great discussion. I'm a little proud of my daughter who is moderating those sessions, and she did a nice job. And I give Michaela a lot of credit for that. But there's some great topics coming up, and I urge people to attend some of those in the next couple of months. And before we get to tonight's agenda, I really want to congratulate our own freeholder Garrettson for earning a place on the 2020 ROI Influencers People of Color list. ROI is a new media organization that focuses on diversity, and they cited Freeholder Garrettson for her instrumental role in changing the title of freeholders to county commissioners. Congratulations, Freeholder Garrettson. The transition to a more inclusive and welcoming title will begin in January, and we look forward to that.
Yes.
So congratulations. Good for you, Freeholder. We are going to be moving right now to the business part of our meeting, and we'll jump right in. So we have the approval of communications, which we will do at the next meeting. And I'll start with our county clerk, Joanne Rajapi, to present her resolutions.
Thank you. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, freeholders. It's great to see you this evening. I have one resolution. It's an amendment to a contract from the Office of the County Clerk. So I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay, freeholders, and I have Freeholder Mudet has a question.
Hi, thank you. Not a question about the resolution. I was just wondering if you could provide an update. Have all of our ballot boxes been installed? And if you can just remind us when the deadline is for voters to drop their ballots in those boxes, please. Thank you.
Well, I think that question might be better asked of the Board of Elections Administrator, who's responsible for the ballot boxes. But November 3rd is the deadline for everything, freeholder. For mailing your ballot, for dropping it in the box, 8 p.m. November 3rd is the deadline.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, freeholders, any other questions? Joanne, I don't really have a question, but just a comment to thank you for all your work and all your staff's work leading up to our election, the extra effort, the unique circumstance that we were under, the manner with which you're providing information to the public is outstanding. And when I saw your video on how to fill out accurately a ballot, a vote by mail ballot, I couldn't help but call you right away and tell you what a good job I thought you did. I think you maybe missed your calling as an actress, but you really did a fine
Second
job
career
of
freeholder, second.
presenting that information and providing all that service to the public in this unique year that we are in. And I'm sure I speak for the rest of the freeholders when I say I want to thank you for your extra effort, and please send our thanks to your staff who's working doubly hard to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to vote in this election. It's so important.
I will, and I thank you for your good wishes, and I will extend them to the staff. Thank you.
Terrific. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Any other questions? I don't see any, so we will move right over to our prosecutor, Prosecutor Rotolo.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. So nice to see all of you. The prosecutor's office has 3 items on the agenda for this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Terrific. Thank you, Madam Prosecutor. Let me see if we have anybody that has questions. I think they looked pretty straightforward. Okay, I don't see any, but oh wait, Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Madam Prosecutor. Resolution number 3, CDC connectivity services. What exactly is involved in that?
So that's call data. CDC stands for Call Data
Gotcha.
Channel, which is it's the metadata that's in a call system. So when we intercept communications, we also need not only the communications, obviously with the court order, we also need the metadata that attaches to it for evidentiary significance. So this is a renewal for software maintenance for a system that we purchased about 10 years ago, and every once in a while we need to upgrade it.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
All right, thank you, Freeholder Hudak. Good question. Anybody else? Before we leave the prosecutor, I want to thank her for her participation earlier this week. I think Freeholder Garrettson mentioned, and I know Freeholder Staten were there when we were able to honor 5 dynamic women veterans who also, not only as veterans, but individuals who contribute to the community with the Shiro Award. And I know the prosecutor was there supporting one of her staff members who was one of the finalists in Union County. It was a terrific event, and I was very proud to participate in it. I thank you, Madam Prosecutor, for being there.
Thank you so much. And we were so honored that you recognized Teresa Hilton, our domestic violence supervisor. Thank you so much for that. Thank you all.
She's doing a great job. Thank you. All right, with no other questions, we're going to move on to the Board of Elections and Administrator Dorado.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. The Office of the Union County Board of Elections has 1 resolution on the agenda for your consideration. I would like to mention that there was an adjustment to the agenda. So the contract amount for Wisdom Media is $50,000, down from $215,000, which was the original placeholder for that. The office was awarded grant money, of which $215,000 was dedicated to a voter outreach and media campaign. And Wisdom Media is going to be assisting us with the campaign design and management portion. And the ancillary charges, whether it be print ads or internet ads, those will be paid for separately outside of the contract with Wisdom Media. So that was really just representing the change, represented the payment structure.
All right, thank you for that, Nicole, that explanation. And I see Freeholder Hudak has a question.
Hey, Nicole, how are you? 2 questions unrelated to your agenda items.
Okay.
The first one is, I just was curious, how is poll worker recruiting going?
Fine.
We're-
Yes.
No, no issues in terms of filling the locations? You have enough staff?
So far, so because we went down from 431 sets of poll workers like we would typically have, we're down to 116 sets of poll workers. So our need was significantly reduced, even though we are increasing the number of assigned poll workers per location to help with crowding and just to keep the flow within the polling location. But there are still significantly fewer spots that we need to staff.
And under the revised EO and the updates to the law, there's going to be additional locations for people to vote, so it's not a one at a time per district situation with the filling of the provisional.
So
Okay,
that's correct.
great.
So
no, finish your thought.
I was just going to say that the executive order required us to have a minimum of 50% of what we would typically have. And we have 20 more than what our 50% would be to assist with overcrowding in any of the locations. In addition, we are encouraging the municipal clerks to be able to set up the locations so that at least 6 provisional ballot voters can be sitting simultaneously. That doesn't sound like a lot, but we do have to be mindful that not only are we socially distancing the provisional ballot voters, but we have to socially distance the poll workers all day and challengers who will undoubtedly be at the locations.
No, that's great. And then just the last question was the ballot count law has changed. Is that effective for the November election?
It is.
So when will your staff begin the unting and the tallying?
So the statute following executive order allows us to start opening and counting ballots 10 days before election day. So that would be October 24th. We are going to start opening and prepping ballots starting October 24th. We will not start running ballots until October 30th. The opening and prepping is really the time consuming and labor intensive portion of the process. So the more we can get open and ready to go into our machines, the faster that portion will go. Pursuant to the statute, we cannot release results until 8 o'clock on election night, but we are also required to continue counting until 11 o'clock at night on election night. So we will run results, we'll get them to the county clerk's office, but results should not be expected for quite some time. In addition to how long it will take to process, I'm thinking upwards of 200,000 ballots, and then any ballot postmarked on or before election day and received by November 10th will be counted to allow for delays in the postal service. And once we receive all the vote by mail ballots, we have to reconcile them against the provisional ballots and determine which ones of those can be counted. And then the cure letters, the ballot cure letters, which was new for the first time in the primary, those are due back within 48 hours of certification. So we're looking at continued result counting through easily November 18th to the 19th. So if
you'll have more of a head start this time around, though.
Yes.
As opposed to last year.
Oh,
what
yes,
was the old
absolutely.
statute? Was it this? What was it? When you weren't permitted to run until the day of the election?
Day of, yes. We
Wow.
couldn't even open them until the day of.
Well, this is certainly helpful. Well, you're doing a great job. I know it's a tough job, and you have a great plan. And we've been seeing the boxes installed all over the county, and I know residents are taking advantage of them. And so we certainly appreciate the effort, Nicole. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. And if I may, to answer Freeholder Muded's question, all of the boxes throughout the county have been installed. They are ready and accepting ballots. We are receiving, every day we do our runs. We have bipartisan teams out there picking up the ballots. They are under 24/7 camera surveillance, and they are wildly popular. We are at this point receiving more ballots through the drop boxes than we are through the mail.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hudak, thank you. Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Nicole. You and your staff are doing a great job. Do you know how many ballots have come in at the drop boxes, more or less, so far?
So far, just about 7,000, over 7,000 have come in through the drop boxes. Nope, scratch that. I'm sorry. We're up over 22,588 ballots received so far. We've started receiving ballots on September 16th. And I will get you, Freeholder, the exact number of ballots that have come in through the drop boxes. I ran a report, but
No problem.
I will go downstairs and do the math.
Tomorrow it's fine.
Okay.
I do have a question about the resolution. So can you talk to us a little more about what some of this media outreach is going to include? Because I'm concerned that there are possibly seniors who are not active on social media or the internet, and wondering how we're going to be reaching out to people like that.
Right, agreed. And it's going to include print media, local newspaper, print ads. The conversation that I had with Wisdom Media, I advised them that, we are 33 days out from Election Day. So this needs to be done very, very quickly. We need to get ads designed very, very quickly. They have to get placement secured. For the local weekly newspapers, we're really just looking at, possibly 2 weeks of ads by the time we get space saved and an ad designed. Star Ledger, Courier News, the local, the daily papers that affect us, in addition to social media and any other digital platforms that we can get into. But absolutely, the print is very important. And we're very fortunate in terms of announcing the drop boxes, of getting them into the senior news that is produced and edited by Ms. Ellen Steinberg. So that, I believe, was dropping today also.
Thank you.
That's a widely popular paper also.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Garrettson.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Question, these ads that are going to be created, could we equally have them posted at some of the senior buildings throughout each of our municipalities? Because if they don't necessarily see them in press, and maybe any other location. And then the other thing, this might have been a Joanne question, but can you just go over the voter registration, the deadline, in addition to what are the different modes to be able to vote, just so that we can, again, just share that. Thank you.
So yes, so the media contract does include print media such as banners and posters. So we are looking to disseminate those posters to municipal buildings and senior centers. Thank you. And in terms of voter registration, the deadline to register to vote is October 13th. You can download or obtain a voter registration form from our website, from your municipal clerk's office if it's open, and you can return it there. And for the first time this year, New Jersey has joined other states that allows for online voter registration. So you can access that option through the New Jersey Election Voter Information Portal. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Seeing nothing else, thank you, Nicole. Share our thoughts for all the good hard work you and your staff are doing too.
I will do. Thank you, everybody.
Terrific. All right, we'll move on to the Department of Economic Development and Deputy County Manager Wagner.
Good evening, freeholders. The Department of Economic Development has 2 resolutions for your consideration, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, I see Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. Deputy County Manager, just in reference to number 1, roughly how many individuals will that voucher program help?
It will not help any individuals. It was all for administration.
Okay.
We're still waiting for some guidance from HUD. We're considered to be a PHA or a public housing authority. And that's how we get our vouchers, but technically we're not, because we don't own any buildings. So this money comes in very handy for agencies that have to do cleaning, deep cleaning, or put up any kind of barriers or whatever to protect from COVID-19. We don't have that same situation. So we put some of the money into putting more of our resources online for people that are on our list, but we're still looking for guidance from HUD on how else those funds can be spent. We're hearing that we can just apply it towards normal administration dollars because those funds last in perpetuity until we use them up, but we don't have a firm answer on how that is actually going to be allowed to be spent. So it's kind of a unique situation for us.
And then also on a side note, Deputy County Manager, correct me if I'm wrong, but October 13th, I believe now it's a brand new deadline for landlords to be able to get a voucher program from the state in reference to tenants who haven't paid during this whole COVID pandemic.
I'll have to research that. I'm not familiar with that there was an extension. So I'll look into that and get back to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you,
And
Chairman.
we should be launching two things on that. Our rental assistance program, we're hoping to get launched by the end of this next week. We had some legal things with our vendor that we're working with, so we had to work through that. But we've had the pre-meetings with the agencies that will manage that. Additionally, the state is standing up a new rental assistance program that as soon as we have all the finalized details, I'll share them with you. It's going to be managed through the Department of Human Services. I'm not sure if Director Anderson, when she comes up, may have gotten more color on what's exactly happening with that. We had a meeting about it earlier this week, but it was kind of like, oh, boom, here you go, but not a lot of details. So we'll definitely get that information out as quickly as we possibly can.
Thank you, Deputy County Manager. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder. All right, I don't see any other hands up, so thank you, Deputy County Manager. We'll move on to the Department of Engineering, Public Works, and Facilities Management, and that is Director Graziano.
Good evening, Chairman, Freeholders. The department has 6 resolutions on tonight for your consideration, and I'll try and answer any questions, Jack.
Okay, I see Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. Good evening, Director. In regard to it looks like 3, 4, and 5 extensions for David, T. Farisi and Sons, and National Fence Systems. So I guess 2 questions. Is there a reason why we didn't want to, if we had gone out for a bid, would we not lost our option to extend these contracts?
Yes, if we went out to bid, we would, then that would take away the option from these current contractors.
Okay.
But we decide to extend them. The prices are fair, the prices are okay. And what we've spent on the previous contracts also, and also plus Dave Ed Fire Systems, they've been with us a while. T. Freese was the only bidder the last time also. And I think Maffey's has been the only bidder for years for us as far as locking systems, security systems and stuff like that. So a lot of times we go out to bid, we're only going to get one bidder, or we've only been getting one bidder on certain things. So that's also some of the reasons why we have the option also to extend these contracts. And when we go out to bid, we purposely put that in there to make it a little bit easier, so it kind of avoids any price increases or anything that might happen within those next 2 years that we have in the contracts.
Is there any additional extensions on these, or just it's the 2-year contract with a 2-year option?
Yeah, no, just a 2-year option that we've accepted, and or we're asking for you guys to accept tonight. And after that, then we will have to rebid them the next time, which will be some of these for 2022.
Fair enough. The just out of curiosity on these are not to exceed numbers. Do you typically, over the 24-month period, utilize the entirety of the contracts? Is there a percentage? Does it vary by the type? Because these obviously there's a varied, we're talking security systems, fire systems, fencing, it's very different. Do you have any sense of how much of each you spent last time around?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, sure, I do. For the waste contract, we spend every single penny of that contract, literally every single penny of that contract. I think I have maybe $10,000 left in that contract, if that, and I still have a bunch of pickups to get done before this contract's over. The locking systems with Maffey's. We spent the last contract, hold on one second. T3. One second, I'm sorry. For Maffey's for the last contract. So this, again, this is between facilities management for, also for the prosecutor's office and also for the sheriff's department. So we split that. We split that between the three departments in there. We were up to about $342,000 so far. We spent on $487,500, which was the last contract. So that's roughly 75%, somewhere 75, 80% of that contract. Like I said, T. Faris, we spent the whole thing. National Fence, we spent the whole thing as well. So we try and spend as much as we can on these contracts. The one that we didn't spend that much on is the Dave Ed contract, because there's still a bunch of like central monitoring stuff that has to be done. Most of the Dave Ed stuff is our fire alarm and our CO alarms, and that goes through public safety, through Andy Moran's department. They do all the inspections. We send people out for all the fire inspections for all the buildings that we have. Again, so you know, a lot of that stuff is upcoming. So we've only spent probably maybe 40% of that contract up to date now, and that contract technically that expires. Dave Ed expires in December, so we still have a couple months left, and we should spend a lot of that, you know, before it's over. So as of now, we only spent 40%, but I know I'm going to spend probably 60 to 70% before that's over. A lot of stuff was put on hold because of COVID. Inspections were delayed and stuff like that. So now that things are starting to lighten up at the testing site, Mike Tomich, who's in charge of all that stuff, was leading the charge at the testing site at Kane since day one. So he's getting some more time back at the office, so he's starting to schedule a lot of the inspections coming up.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it, Director, for the understanding of those contracts. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder.
Thank you, Freeholder Hudak. Any other questions? I see Freeholder Staten has a question. Freeholder?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good evening, Director. If you can
Good evening, Freeholder.
How are you? Can you please elaborate on number one, the road resurfacing, the increase? Were more streets added, or was there additional damage? If you could just.
So this is actually from 2018, if you see there. So it takes a while to close out contracts that are with the state, as far as everything gets done. So there was in fact there was 2 roads, I believe, added to this contract a couple years. I don't have the names of those roads in front of me, but we did a change order, I think a year or so ago, for probably $400,000. We did it, I think back in December, we did it last year, and we added to this contract, and that was supposed to be the final contract to close it out for 2018. Again, then the state comes in and the state does what's called they come in and they do like a review of everything, like a surveillance report, a final surveillance report, so you can get all your funding, 100% of your funding. And when they did that, there's some of the ADA compliance numbers actually have changed between 2018 and 20. So some of the ADA ramps had to be readjusted and changed to lesser of an angle, and some curbing had to be affected with that. So that's why there's an $18,000 change, and now it's final. Everything's closed out, and then the state's satisfied with this, and then this project is closed out. Again, that's 2018 paving project. 19's done already. 20's done, but not closed out. So all the paving has been done. We're still working on 20s, and we're out to bid ready for 2021, and I'm ready to go for 2022.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Thank you,
You're
Chair.
welcome. You're welcome.
Okay, no, thank you, Freeholder, for asking. Any other questions for Director Graziano? Okay. I don't see any, so thank you, Director.
Thank you, Chairman.
We're going to move on to the Department of Finance, and I see Eric is on for us representing. Hey, Eric.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. The Department of Finance has 7 resolutions for your consideration. I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. Freeholders, any questions? Let me look. All right, looks like you're all right tonight. Good job, Eric.
Thank you.
Thank you. With no questions, we're going to move on to the Department of Human Services and Director Anderson.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. The Department of Human Services has 6 resolutions on, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Director. Any questions for Director Anderson? All right, very good. Thank you, Director.
If I may, Chair, if I could jump in and answer Freeholder Granado's question that was asked to Deputy County Manager Wagner. The program for rental assistance that the state will be launching tomorrow, it's a $10 million program for first come, first serve for anyone with rental or mortgage challenges due to COVID. The program will pay in arrears back to March to present, $25,000 per household, up to 300% of the poverty level. That's about a family of 4, $75,000 annually would be eligible for this program. We will be having a conference call with the State Department of Human Services Division of Family Development to get more details, but all funding must be spent by December 31st this year. So it is based on a first come, first serve basis. And that's it for me.
Okay, good, Director. Thank you. That's very helpful. With no other questions, we're going to move on to the Department of Parks and Recreation and Director Zuber.
Good evening. Department of Parks and Recreation has 2 items on tonight's agenda, and I'll try to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Any questions for Director Zuber? All right, Director, I don't have a question, but I will comment that it's nice to see the city of Plainfield joining in on the deer management program. I know they've been kind of in and out and evaluating the program, and I'm glad that they have decided to participate. It's very helpful for that western part of the county to have some sites where we can manage the herd down there. So that's good news, and it's also good news to see that Kane University is part of our program moving forward in 2021. So that is good as well. So thanks for your efforts. I appreciate particularly your work, Director, in this space. I think we're making a difference, keeping our community safe, keeping property safe as well as we manage the deer population. And in particular, I want to thank Mike Brennan for his leadership in this area too. He's doing a nice job, kind of as your eyes and ears, working on this project as well. So thanks to both of you for your hard work and effort on this.
Thank you.
All right. No other questions or comments. We're going to move on to the Department of Public Safety, and in a remote location, we have Director Moran.
Thank you, Chairman. Members of the board. Department of Public Safety has 6 resolutions for your consideration. I'll try and answer any questions you may have.
Now that's a hard-working director in his car, ready to respond at a moment's notice, even during meetings. It's very good, Director. Very proud of you. Any questions for Director Moran? Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. I just want to make a comment. Director, I just want to say great job to you, the health management staff, for kicking off the flu vaccinations in the city of Elizabeth. I know there's over 200 individuals registered, and the staff was very hands-on and very friendly to the residents who were in line and making sure everybody gets service as quickly as possible. So I just want to continue to thank you guys, what you guys do not only for COVID testing, but also now for flu vaccinations. You and Jess Cohen, I know you guys all work together.
Thank you for your kind words, Freeholder.
Good. Anybody else? I want to also thank you, Director, for not only the great work at the Kane site, kind of our hub of testing, but the remote work that's being done with your leadership and Jess Cohen really doing a terrific job. You know, I understand in Scotch Plains on Tuesday alone, there was 430 some odd tests that were taken in 1 3-hour period in that one location remotely in Scotch Plains. It speaks to the need. It speaks to the importance of testing, and our community certainly understands that that's a key kind of factor in managing this virus, is understanding who has it and how we can control it. And one of the unsung heroes as well, Director, besides you and Jess Cohn, is Ernie Hernandez, who's out there managing sites, helping set up sites, and I want to give him some credit too, because he was out there, which at least in the Scotch Plains site was located at the fire department on the south side of Scotch Plains. It was supposed to be an outdoor event, but there was some rain, if people remember, on Tuesday, so it turned into an inside in one of the bays where the trucks are held. And I know that Ernie stayed after to fumigate the firehouse, make sure it was safe for the firefighters moving forward after that. And that's just the extra touch I think that we are accustomed to in Union County, the teamwork that we have here, and just what's going on. It's amazing to me to see on a very regular basis people step up to help the community. And this testing is all the right things that we've done, and in the right direction we should be in.
Thank you, Chairman. We have some really dedicated people in public safety, and they've all stepped up in this challenging time. So thank you for your words.
Yeah, perfect. All right, I don't see anything else for Director Moran.
Sure.
Thank you.
Chairman, just one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead, Freeholder.
Sorry, I just want to make note in reference to number 5 and the new shared service agreement with the Borough of Roselle. And, continues to show that public safety continues to be one of the main instruments of the county when it comes to shared services, and continue to expand services. I know you guys already work with Hillside, Berkeley Heights, and now bringing on also Roselle. Continues to show your dedication, and also Annie McNair as health officer and the RHSs who work underneath her, and their continued valid service.
Thank you.
Thanks for those words too, Freeholder. Great. All right, Director Moran, thank you. We'll move on to the office of the County Council and County Council Bergen.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We have 2 resolutions tonight. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, is there any questions for the County Council? Freeholder Granados.
No questions. I guess it was still up.
Okay. Okay. Bruce, thank you. I don't think there's anything. Appreciate you.
Mr. Chairman.
Move on to the office of the County Manager, County Manager Oatman.
Thank you, Chairman. I have one item on tonight's agenda. I'd be happy to answer any questions. A little bit about this item. This is a grant program using CARES money targeted for restaurants. This is actually your initiative, is your idea. The grant's for $2 million. Each applicant could apply for up to $20,000. It will be for COVID-related expenses and things such as for openings such as plexiglass or heaters for outdoor dining. Applications will be available on our website starting at some point next week, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, freeholders?
Yes.
No, but I just want to thank the county manager for his efforts in this whole CARES space, and taking the federal dollars and turning them into programs that are helping our small businesses, our libraries, our nonprofit areas. Also now a segment of small businesses, restaurants and bars, who I think have been particularly hit hard. And that's why I kind of asked the county manager to work on a program to include them specifically for some assistance. And as well, I didn't mean to leave out the municipalities who have really benefited, and the school districts with all this CARES money. It's being well utilized, and I appreciate the county manager's leadership in this area. Want to move to Freeholder Garrettson, who has a question. Freeholder.
Thank you. I think it's an awesome initiative. If you could just give us like an electronic recap of what you shared tonight, and just so that we can kind of think forward before it does release to the public, that would be perfect.
We'll do it. This being administered under the Department of Economic Development. Deputy County Manager Wagner so she can take care of, that tonight or tomorrow going forward.
That would be awesome. Thank you. Very good job.
Okay, thank you, Freeholder Garrettson. Anybody else have questions for the county manager? I don't see any. So then we will move to the freeholder sponsored resolutions, and if there's any questions or comments regarding those, we can accept them at this point. Anybody have any comments? Okay, very good. Thank you, freeholders. We are going to move to adjourn this meeting. So can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
So moved.
Okay, I didn't catch who moved it. Was it Freeholder Garrettson?
Yep. Freeholder Williams.
Freeholder Williams moved it. Can I have a second, please? Freeholder Muedad. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, terrific. So we have finished our first meeting. We will move directly into the regular meeting of this freeholder board. And at this time, I will call this meeting to order. The Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders, Thursday, October 1st, 2020, regular meeting, and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Certainly, Chairman. Freeholder Garrettson,
Here.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye. Here.
Freeholder Hudak,
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Here.
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad,
Here.
Freeholder Staton,
Here.
Freeholder Williams,
Here.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Present.
Chairman, you have 8 freeholders present for tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Please lead us in the prayer and salute to the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, the entire family of nations, true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. While we are getting our video starting, can you please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
Certainly, Chairman. The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirement of New Jersey statutes annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstance to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 in the administration building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2020 with the office of the county clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. May I have a motion now to approve the communications?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Kowalski. May I have a second, please?
Second.
Second by Freeholder Staton. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garrettson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
Freeholder Williams,
Aye.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 8 freeholders voting in the affirmative on the communications.
Okay, very good. Tonight we have 2 ordinances for final reading. Clerk of the board, please read the first ordinance by title.
Certainly. Ordinance number 818-2020, an ordinance to amend the Union County Solid Waste Management Plan by including a Class C recycling facility to be owned and operated by Linden Renewable Energy, LLC, located at 4900 Tremblay Point, Lot 8.02, Block 587, Linden, New Jersey, to accept organic waste or organic substrate and utilize anaerobic digestion to create renewable natural gas, a marketable soil amendment, and liquid digestate that will be processed on site to produce liquid organic fertilizer.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. And prior to this meeting, prior to opening up the meeting to the public hearing on this ordinance, I would like to note that there was another public hearing held today, 1 o'clock via Zoom, Upon conclusion of the hearing, the clerk of the board forwarded the reading, the recording of that public hearing to each of us on the board with a summary of the questions and answers that were discussed. At this time, I'd like to call on the Union County Utilities Authority Executive Director, Dan Sullivan, to provide an overview of this project. Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening to the freeholders. Just to note on the call tonight for the UCUA is the UCUA's General Counsel, Craig Dowd, our Special Counsel, Kevin Conti, and representing Linden Renewable Energy is Mr. Jim Potter and Mr. Dennis Toft as well. And as you've seen, I'm going to turn it over to Kevin, Mr. Chairman, just make a statement as to the hearing tonight. So Kevin, if you wouldn't mind.
Thank you, Director. I appreciate it. Good evening, Chairman and members of the Freeholder Board. My name is Kevin Conti from the firm of Dakota Fitzpatrick, Cole and Giblin, which serves as the Solid Waste Council for UCUA. Tonight, before you, there is a plan amendment that is the subject of this public hearing to include a new Class C recycling facility, as indicated in the title, to be located at Tremley Point in Linden that will handle recyclable food waste. In 2019, the Linden Renewable Energy filed an application with the Utilities Authority asking for inclusion of this proposed Class C facility. There were meetings conducted with the applicant and the application was reviewed from an engineering perspective by the consulting engineer for the authority. Roughly in June of this year, the authority commissioners adopted a resolution recommending the plan amendment to the freeholders. And at this point, we had as was mentioned, Chairman, we had a hearing, a public hearing that was obviously noticed in the newspapers and on the UCUA website, as well as the county website. On July 23rd, nothing really has changed about the facility, about the application. NJDEP asked us to revise the notice for a technical issue and then go back through the hearing process. And the authority and the applicant, in an abundance of caution, decided to do just that and then go back to the Freeholder Board. So with your permission, Chairman, I'd like to introduce Jim Potter, who is the president of RNG Energy Solutions, and the counsel for Linden Renewable Energy, Dennis Toft, that will give us a more detailed description of the facility.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dennis Toft. I'm counsel to Linden Renewable Energy from the firm of Chiesa, Shahinian, and John Tomasi. We appreciate you working with us to go through this process again. As Mr. Conti has said, nothing has changed about this project since the last time we were here. It's a Class C recycling facility to take food waste and convert it into renewable natural gas and other byproducts, which can be used as soil amendments and fertilizers. It meets the state's goals for food waste recycling. It provides substantial reductions in greenhouse gas emissions, and it's being designed and built in conformity with a number of New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection permits to ensure that it is properly and safely operated at all times. The site is a brownfield site, the remediation of which is nearing completion, and this will be the last phase in that remediation by providing the final cap on the property. With that, with more of the details, I will turn things over to Mr. Potter, the principal of Linden Renewable Energy.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My name is Jim Potter. I'm president of RNG Energy Solutions, which is the developer of the project. Project name is Linden Renewable Energy, LLC. That's a separate standalone project company. We plan to receive processed waste at the facility, which is converted into renewable natural gas through bioreactors. This is the sort of the state-of-the-art process that's employed nowadays to manage waste in a way that significantly reduces greenhouse gas emissions. In fact, this will be one of the largest greenhouse gas reduction facilities in the state of New Jersey. The renewable natural gas that's produced from the facility is upgraded to pipeline quality gas and injected into the interstate pipeline that's located just 4,000 feet away from the project site. And it will then be used to make renewable hydrogen, which is a fuel that you are going to hear a lot about in the coming years. So that's a first, and we have a long-term contract to do that with a large company. And so we're excited about developing this project in Linden. It's a great site for purposes of constructing and operating this facility. And we're nearly complete in securing all of our permits and approvals with the city and the state, and hope to start construction in the first quarter of next year.
So
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Dennis.
With that, we'll be happy to answer any questions that the freeholders may have.
Yeah, I'll open it up now to any questions any freeholders may have on this project. It's not the first time we've heard of it, so I don't know if there will be questions, but we have the opportunity now. And I don't see any. So let me at this time, unless there's anything else, Director Sullivan, that needs to be discussed.
There's nothing other than comments you might want to take, Mr. Chairman, from members of the public.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So I appreciate, gentlemen, your information and update. At this time, I'll ask the clerk of the board to read into the record any questions that were either made at the hearing or that were read into the record. So Jimmy, can you do that now?
Certainly, Chairman. I did receive one email that was read into the record, and if you don't mind, I will read it verbatim into the record now. From a Mr. Ciro Scalera. Dear Mr. Pelletieri, at prior Commissioner Boards meetings, I either participated online or submitted an email in support of this project. I write today to do so again for the LREP for tomorrow's Commissioner meeting. I do not need to participate again, but would appreciate if my support, no need to testify, could be notified or noted at the meeting for the record. Thank you again for your assistance, Ciro, Berkeley Heights, New Jersey. And that was received on Wednesday, September 30th, 2020. The other, we had one individual participate in the Zoom meeting live, and without going verbatim to the question, there were two questions that was posed to the applicant. The first, it was centered around the number of trucks that would be driving through in and out of the facility per day. There was a previous understanding of it being 5 to 6 trucks. And the application is for, I believe, 74 trucks. And the answer to that, and I'm sure the applicants online could clarify, but essentially stated that the 5 to 6, the number of 5 to 6 trucks were per hour and not per day, and that the application to the UCUA did in fact go in detail that it was a 74 truck per day number. The second question that was posed, or comment that was posed, was relative to there being a need for a bond guarantee. The answer, the applicant responded by stating that there was no need for a guaranteed bond, guaranteed performance bond, but that the bonding that was noted in the comments reflected the financial mechanism used to deal with any debt associated with the project. But I certainly would, the applicants online today could, I guess, provide a little more detailed answer if they so does, need to. Outside of that, Chairman, those are the only two questions or comments from the public at the 1 o'clock meeting that was entered into the record.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. I guess the only question that I had that I asked before, and it was confirmed to me, was that this is going to be built with union standards, and I think I was convinced that it was. So I didn't have any questions other than that. Is that still the case as we're reapproving this?
Yeah, yes, that's definitely the case. We've got a long history of using union contractors to construct a lot of facilities in the area. And we've made that commitment, and the construction company that's going to be performing that function has also made that commitment as well.
Terrific. Thank you, Mr. Potter, for that. It's going to be well received by the union community. That's terrific.
Yeah.
All right. So if there's nothing else that needs to be discussed at this point, I would like to open this meeting up to the public for the purpose of commenting on ordinance number 818-2020 being offered for adoption. Jim, can you go through the list of people who have signed up to participate and see if any of them have questions on this ordinance?
Certainly, Chairman. In the queue, we do have 4 individuals. I will start with the first person in the queue, Judy McCarthy.
Hi. Yeah, first I would like to apologize because of my misunderstanding earlier and that I misstated the fact, and I was glad it was clarified by Mr. Potter for me. I was curious as to, is this firm a 7-day-a-week, 12-hour facility or a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour facility? Because the 74 per day, if it is even just 12 hours a day, will work out to be an increase of traffic by trucks to my neighborhood of almost 27,000 per year. In a neighborhood that already has the warehouses that have increased the traffic to the area, and the route that they're suggesting will still be within a block of the public school, and the school, our area is known for higher rates of asthma. The other thing that I wanted to know is, yes, I do understand you said there was 500,000 hours of union and 20 permanent jobs at this facility. I just want to clarify, because just like Walmart, is Linden, who is being affected by this, are they getting preferred? I guess I don't know what they called it, whereas they were preferred over other people because their community is the one that's housing it. So that 500,000 hours and those 20 jobs, is it being open to Linden or Union County residents first before some outsiders? The other thing that I wanted to know is, and this had to do with, Freeholder Hudak, you had looked into the possibility of a ramp. What is the real feasibility of that happening with the turnpike? Because I really am concerned with this added traffic increase, what it's doing to our quality of air, and the long-term effects on my little community down here, because we're very isolated. Lastly, I do want to thank you guys. I happened to sit in on your earlier meeting. I want to commend you for what you're doing for the elections, what you've done for the deer population in my particular community. I've noticed a difference, and also what you're offering for the flu. And I guess that's really my questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. McCarthy. Dan, I don't know if you want to take this as far as answering this or spread it.
Yeah, Chairman, I would think it's probably best handled by Mr. Potter in terms of the truck traffic and the other questions in terms of the relationship with Linden.
Right.
Mr. Potter?
And I'd be happy to answer. Thank you. I'm going to start with the union jobs. We don't decide where those jobs come from, where they're sourced from, but there's a ready force of highly capable highly skilled union craft labor in the area, and we would expect those people to be performing the vast majority of the work on this project. And we've been working closely with the local unions in the area and look forward to continuing working with them throughout the construction phase of this project. And it's about a 16-month construction phase. That includes pipe fitters, electricians, a lot of mechanical work and tank erection work. So there is a lot of field erected structures with this project, and it's all going to be done by union labor. And I can't guarantee it, but I'm guessing that the vast majority of it's going to be sourced right there in Union County. As it relates to traffic, there's been a lot of misconceptions about traffic in our project. And first of all, as we corrected this morning, our reference to 5 to 7 trucks was on a per hour basis. That was reviewed in the transcripts, and that's what I said, and I'll stick with that. This facility is a 24/7 operation. That means that it is operating full time. That does not mean it's receiving trucks full time, but it means that it's operating full time. And we will most likely be receiving trucks over a 16 to 18-hour basis in any given day. There'll be limited traffic on weekends, but I can't say there's not going to be no traffic on or no trucks and cars on weekends. And so this is not a huge traffic load for that area. It is incremental traffic, but it's not a huge incremental traffic load for that area. And we think the project works well with the industrial nature of that of Tremley Point Road. And it's a good project for the region for a number of different reasons. What am I missing? What other question was asked that I'm not answering here? I think there was a third one.
The third one had to do with the Turnpike Connector Road.
I don't mind taking that, Chairman, if you don't mind.
Go ahead, Chris.
So just a little more detailed response. The Tremley Point Connector Road is going to be a 4-lane pile-supported 1.1 mile roadway bridge that will cross the Rawway River, and it'll feature 2 12-foot lanes in each direction, 3-foot shoulders. It's key to the redevelopment of Tremley Point, and as you alluded to, the truck traffic and the adverse effects from the truck traffic has been a historical issue in Tremley Point for a very long time. I want to commend Senator Scutari, who has really been a champion for this specific project, and he had some great assists at the county level with Deputy County Manager Amy Wagner and her team. Former Freeholder Estrada, when he was the head of the NJTPA, really got this project moving. I believe the current status is the Turnpike Authority now has ownership of the project, and that's a very good thing. They're very good at getting projects completed. Its final design was awarded to Jacobs Engineering in Morristown last year, and that design phase is going to take about 2 years. So it's a very exciting project. It's a long time coming. There's still quite a ways to go on it, but it'll make projects like this, which are very good in terms of reclaiming these brownfields in the industrial portion of Linden, putting them back on the tax rolls, making them very useful industrial areas, creating jobs. But on the other hand, it's going to take the truck traffic off the city streets and away from the schools and away from the neighborhoods, and that's a great thing. Thank you, Chairman.
No, thank you, Freeholder. I appreciate your leadership in that area as well. So thank you for those comments. Okay, I think that satisfies the first caller. Jimmy, is there any other callers?
Yes, Chairman. The next individual in the queue is Mr. Bruce Patterson.
Okay, Mr. Patterson, do you have any comments?
Yes, actually, I do. This is Bruce Patterson, Garwood. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, and also the professionals of UCUA, and Mr. Potter and Mr. Tuft. I did participate in the June meeting. I did have questions, and they were all answered satisfactorily. Almost all of them. There were two that were still outstanding, and actually I thought of another one. Let me just run down. It's three questions. The first one was, is there any, you're talking about liquid waste, but is there anything actually coming out of New York City or New York State? The second question is, and it almost was answered, you said 36-month construction duration, but when do you expect this project, this facility to become online? And I guess you can just give me the quarter, third quarter of the whatever year it was or whatever quarter. The last question, the emissions, I know we're concerned about truck emissions, but I'm just wondering, is there any emissions coming into the air out of that facility? And if so, what would that be? And also if there's any I guess, wastewater or liquids that are being dumped. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Okay. Let me thank you for those questions. First of all, as I just said, the duration of the construction is 16 months, not 36. It's 16 months. We hope to release for construction on March 1, this coming March. That will require that we complete a financing that we're working on diligently with Citigroup. March 1, 16 months afterwards, it's deemed mechanically complete, and we do the startup on this project. The startup on these projects takes a while because it's a biological process, but that takes another 3 months. And we hope to be up and running 19 to 20 months after we start construction. As it relates to New York, it is likely that we'll be receiving some waste from New York and New York City because the whole region has, with excellent legislation, required the diversion of organic waste for purposes of cutting down on greenhouse gas emissions. And New York City and New York State, together with New Jersey, have implemented regulations to divert organic waste. And so we will likely be receiving waste from New York City that's been pre-processed before it's delivered to us. On the issue of water, we receive this waste in tanker trucks, and then it's discharged into our bioreactors. And then it leaves the bioreactors. The remaining solids are pulled off. That's what we call digested solids, which is like a topsoil, heavily nutrient-rich topsoil, which we sell as a soil amendment material. But the liquid fraction is cleaned up through a fairly complex process, and the Linden Roselle Sewerage Authority has agreed to receive it as part of an industrial discharge permit that we just got a draft version of 2 weeks ago, and we're in the final process of getting that approved from the Linden Roselle Sewerage Authority. The final question from Mr. Patterson relates to emissions. There are emissions from this facility. It is what's referred to as a minor source. And we just got our draft air permit approved from the New Jersey DEP. We provided them comments back to that today. And once they review those comments and approve those, then they'll issue the final permit, which we expect to get by the end of October. The emissions from this facility relate to a flare. And there are occasions where it's a biological process. We're not always capable of taking or processing all the gas from the bacteria, and we can't tell them to stop. And so we design a system where excess gas or gas that we can't process is combusted in a what's called an enclosed flare. So there's no open flame. It's done in an enclosed flare, and that gives off some emissions, sort of like a boiler. There are also boilers for the facility. And so it would be like a boiler that you might have at a high school or a large building. Well, we have a similar boiler because we have to heat up the contents of these tanks to 110 degrees to create this perfect environment for the bacteria to produce the maximum amount of gas. And so there are emissions from the boiler and from the flare, and those are the primary sources that we had to get permits for. And the DEP has reviewed our permit application and issued a draft permit that as I indicated earlier, we expect to get finalized by the end of the month. Was that helpful?
Okay, so let's move on to the next caller, Jimmy. This is, I think there's.
Thank you very much.
Yep, thank you. Hey, Jim, is there somebody else on the line?
I'm sorry about that, Chairman. Yes, there's just one last individual in the queue, Mr. Daniel Hahn.
Oh, hello.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes.
How much is this project estimated to cost? And how much will the county contribute, if anything? And also, what is the process for waste just coming into the facility in general?
Okay, so thank you for your questions. So the facility cost all in, which covers a lot of things in addition to just the cost of the plant, there's a number of other cost items, $220 million facility. I'm sorry, what else did you ask? How does the material get to the facility?
Well, the first question was the county is not contributing any funds towards this project.
Yeah, this is a private investment, and I'm president of a company that develops large energy infrastructure projects, and we have a series of investors that put money into these plants. We don't rely on any state, federal, county, or funding from any source. These are private investments. The products create the cash flow necessary to support the investment. And so we're not relying on any monies from anybody other than our investors.
Just to clarify, the bonding is done through the New Jersey Economic Development Authority, but it's not state funds. They're what's called a conduit issuer for bonds being purchased in the private sector. So while they're cooperating with us, it is not state money that's going into this.
Right. And there was one other question.
The process for waste being received at the facility.
Okay, so the process for waste being received. So these 6,000 gallon tanker trucks that have the content, that have the processed waste, they're holding the processed waste. They come onto the site. There's a kiosk system where the driver waves a card in front of this machine that reads it. That machine interprets who's driving the truck and where that truck originated from. It knows all of the material inside the truck, and that information is incorporated into our control room and control system, and it directs the truck to a particular scale and a particular discharge point. Those discharge points are in an enclosure. Pumps and piping are connected to the truck by one of our employees. The pumps discharge the truck in 12 to 15 minutes, and that's pumped to a temporary holding tank. And from that holding tank, it goes into the bioreactors. It actually goes into what are called hydrolysis tanks, which is part of the process. And then from the hydrolysis tanks into the bioreactors, where they are stirred and heated and produce that biomethane. Does that answer your question?
take that as a yes. I mean, it's very
Yeah.
detailed. I appreciate
Yes.
that, Mr. Potter. Terrific. Jimmy, is there anybody else in the queue for questions?
Chairman, there is no one else in the queue.
All right, noting that there's no other comments, I'll formally close this portion of the meeting and ask Freeholder Hudak to move ordinance 818, 2020 for final reading.
Thank you, Chairman. I move ordinance 818-2020 for final reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise same in accordance with the law.
Well, thank you, Freeholder. Can I have a second? Is it Freeholder Kowalski seconding? Yes. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, Chairman. Freeholder Garrettson.
Yes, sorry.
Freeholder Granados.
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad.
Aye.
Freeholder Staton.
Yes.
Freeholder Williams. Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative on ordinance number 818-2020.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck with the project.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Clerk of the board, please read the second ordinance by title.
Ordinance number 819-2020, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 799-2018, entitled, an ordinance to amend ordinance number 506-99, entitled, an ordinance establishing land development standards for the County of Union, adopted by the Union County Board of Chosen Freeholders on September 9th, 1999.
Okay, the meeting is now open to the public for commenting on ordinance number 819, 2020. Please state your name. Have a 5-minute time limit. And Jimmy, please help with the individuals who have signed up to speak.
We have 3 individuals in the queue at this point. The first one being Mr. Bruce Patterson.
Oh, am I ready?
Yes, Mr. Patterson.
Okay. Yeah, this is Bruce Patterson of Garwood, New Jersey. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board. Just a simple question on this. Could you please explain exactly what this entails? Does this have something to do with maybe high-density projects throughout our county? And is this part of our county master plan? Thank you very much.
All right, thank you for the question. County Manager, can you direct the to the proper individual who can answer that?
Mr. Chairman, I think I can address that
Yeah,
question. If you want.
Thank you, County Council. I was trying to get on to defer to you, but I was having, technical difficulties. I'll go back.
This is really just an amendment to the planning, the land use ordinance of the county, and it does nothing more than create some fees for services which have not previously had those fees. It does not affect the master plan. It's really just a fee ordinance.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Bruce, thanks. I think that answers the question. Mr. Clerk, is there anyone else wishing to speak on this ordinance?
Chairman, the next individual in the queue is Mr. Daniel Hahn.
No questions at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hahn. And I think we have one other individual.
That is correct. We have a Victoria Vasquez.
I'm just here to observe. I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Vasquez. Appreciate that. So with no one else wishing to speak, I'll close this portion of the meeting and ask for a member of the board to move ordinance number 819-2020 for final reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise the same. Can I ask for a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Hudak. Can I have a second, please?
Second.
Freeholder Mudet, I saw first. Sorry, Freeholder Staten. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garrettson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
yes,
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staten,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 freeholders voting in the affirmative on ordinance number 819-2020.
All right, thank you, Mr. Clerk. May I have a motion now to suspend the rules to allow for the joining of both the public comment on resolutions being offered for adoption and the public comment for any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the county into one public comment section?
so moved.
Oh.
Chairman.
Moved by Freeholder Kowalski. May I have a second for Freeholder Hudak? Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Garrettson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak,
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes,
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staten,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella. Chairman?
The meeting is now open to the public for anyone wishing to speak on resolutions offered for adoption or any other matter. And we will start, I believe we have the same group of residents that have signed up. So Mr. Clerk, please call them for their comments, please.
Chairman, for the record, I'm just going to announce that there were 7 votes in the affirmative for the suspension of the rules.
Okay, thank you, Jim.
To your point, there are still 4 individuals in the queue. I'm sorry, 3 individuals. Mr. Bruce Patterson is first.
Okay, Mr. Patterson, please proceed with your questions.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board. Bruce Patterson, Garwood, New Jersey. I sent my comments in, but I can read them. I will speak first as to the general comments. As many of you know, I have been following the bidding process of the proposed 120 million Union County government complex. With 40 years experience in construction as a project engineer and cost engineer, doing design, build, conceptual, and plan and spec bidding on private and public projects, I have to give my assessment that this process you have instituted is the most screwed up process I have ever seen. Rushed work with missing information, late information, inconsistencies, poor planning, unworkable schedules, subversion of laws and processes, just to name a few, will lead to errors and a rampant waste and abuse of our taxpayer monies. Not to say all the time that is wasted on this by all parties involved. It appears no one's controlling this process that is controlling has an inkling of what they're doing, it seems. I am embarrassed to see such poor handling come out of this county, especially for such a huge undertaking. As freeholders, you have the duty to stop this process now and get it to the level of competency and completeness for a fair and open bidding process. I respectfully request that you contact me for whatever the problems are so you can straighten this out, or possibly other authorities would have to. Moving to the resolutions. Resolution 2020-688. This is a resolution for accepting $1.5 million from the State Green Acres grant for our Open Space Trust Fund. It's great to see additional monies for our Open Space Trust Fund. However, we wonder where the state is getting this money to give us, since the state is borrowing $4 billion to balance their budget. Please explain what plans you have for these monies, since you haven't bought any land from the trust fund since around 2011, and most of it now just pays down debt. If you have no plans for it, maybe tell the state to take it back and pay back the $4 billion they just borrowed, since this money is just a larger tax burden on the hard-working families, and we have to pay it back not only that amount, but the interest. Resolution 691, this is to Maffey Brothers for $487,000 for providing security system service for 2 years. I do appreciate Director Graziano explaining how much was spent in the last 2 years, but moving forward, what exactly is this $500,000 for the 2 years for again? I'd like him to reiterate that if he didn't explain it. The 693, this is giving $435,000 to Faris and Sons for 2 years of waste disposal services. Question, where are these services actually taking place in the county? And I just have to comment, in the original 2013 McEnroe hearings on the incinerator refinancing, it noted the county would receive $2 million from UCUA as host county and to offset disposal costs of then Waste Management Company. The county has now reneged on this promise and returned $1.5 million of the monies back to UCUA, leaving only $500,000 in the budget to offset disposal costs. We are now expending those monies, of course. However, as I noted the past 4 years, we must have that $1.5 million reinstated back into our county coffers in the people's interest for the agreement, or persons and parties should have criminality charges for malfeasance. At 702, this is giving $8,000 to full service mailers for election ballot transportation services. The question is, what exactly is these monies for, and how many hours are being expended by this company for this $8,000? 709, here's the start of a lawsuit paying Chasen Lamparello of Sea Caucus $10,000 to defend our acting prosecutor, Lindsay Rotolo, in a lawsuit. First, it's good to see new legal firm names that County Council Bergen is reaching out to. That's good, instead of the same old tire ones that donate to your campaigns every year. However, I'm dismayed at hearing that our acting prosecutor, Rotolo, has brought a lawsuit naming her as defendant into the county, and the taxpayers are now footing the bill. 1 year ago, I was happy to see a promotion from within, instead of the usual Crony Lives Matter program you institute when the position was open. But at that time, I was not too happy to see someone with only minimal depth of experience being promoted over many with more experience. In addition, it appears that it was just a patronage move anyway involving the name Ruotolo. But I did have hopes that someone dynamic was there for the position. The lawsuit that I am now paying for is not a good indicator that we have someone fully competent heading the prosecutor's department. 712, Wisdom Medium. Now, this was fully explained, so I don't have any other questions. So thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Patterson, we'll move to 688. It was your question, and I think Administrator Durbin Drake can make some comments perhaps there. Vicki?
Yes, thank you, Chairman, through you. So this grant in the amount of 1.5 million is directed to the underfunded balance in the County of Union's acquisition account. Even with a dollar for dollar match, the county is severely underfunded in terms of its acquisitions. We appreciate the state's partnership, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you may have on this issue.
Okay, that's good, Vicki. Thank you very much. Director Graziano, can you speak to 691 and 693, please?
Absolutely, Chairman. Again, with Maffey's, we spent $342,000 in our last contract, but I'd also like to note that over the last 4 years, at least from 2016 to 2020, we've actually gone down in this contract. I went from $562,000 to now $487,000. We keep an eye on it, and if it does get lowered, if we don't spend that much, the next time we go out, we won't go out for that much. He asked what this is used for. It's used for video intercoms, card readers, security cameras, security doors, electric locks, push bars, wiring to all the sheriff's monitors, alarm panels, central station monitoring, remote gates. There's probably 50 or 60 other things, plus 1,500 hours of service time on this contract as well. As far as T. Faris goes, as far as the waste contract, he wants to know where it's being used. We have 22 facilities in the county that use this. There's about 7,578 pickups that are included in this waste contract. This is strictly for the transport and the carting of our waste. So this is just for the hauling of the waste. Included in the 20 of the 22 is also the disposal, and they do have to dispose all the waste at the UCUA. And it's all type 10 and also recycling for the county as well.
Okay, Director Graziano, thank you for that thorough explanation. I'm going to ask our county clerk to speak on 702.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm here.
Yes, thank you, Madam Clerk.
Just trying to get on. For some reason, I can't get on.
Here you go.
Okay, very good. So the $8,000 is additional. We had budgeted $6,000. This is for the delivery of actually the pickup of the ballots we are collating. We have 3 mailings scheduled for Union County of the vote by mail ballots. The first mailing is being done in-house, as all of them are, and it's about 320,000 voters. Those ballots are in trays after they're collated in a pre-sorted order. They are picked up by the mailer to go where the mailer then has to strap them and skid wrap them in the trays, then go to the regional post office. We had budgeted, as I said, $6,000 for that, but it is not enough. For example, we just did Union the past 2 days. There were over 220 trays of ballots. Each tray holds between 100 and 150 ballots. They had to make 4 trips to pick up those ballots in their trucks. And those costs have increased. So we added $8,000 for our second and third mailing, which we expect to be high. Just as an aside, Mr. Chairman, the state has already registered online over 200,000 new voters. So dividing that by counties, you can see that we would probably have at least 9,000 new voters. And we know from the rolls that they're probably going to be much higher than that. So those will comprise our second and third mailings.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. I really appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Excellent. I'm not going to dignify the last comment with any additional comments that Mr. Patterson made. He's again off base regarding our prosecutor, who I have nothing but respect for and the work that she's doing, leading the prosecutor's office. And I'm going to leave it at that. But she has my full support in her efforts, what she's doing. And I want to encourage her to continue the fine work that she's doing in the prosecutor's office. With that, Mr. Clerk, is there anybody else online that's waiting for any kind of commentary?
Next individual in the queue is Mr. Daniel Hahn.
Hi. Just a question for Resolution 690. What is the reason for incorporating Plainfield and Kane University into the DEER program? Has that been anticipated for a while? What will that look like? And will the county have to spend any monies on that program, or any new monies because of Kane and Plainfield participating? And do the freeholders have any comment on the lawsuit in Resolution 709? That should be all. Thank you.
Okay, I just made a comment about 709, Mr. Hahn, that we are not going to comment on that, and that the prosecutor has my full support in her job and what she's doing. I will ask Director Zuber to come on and speak a little bit about the deer management program. I can tell you from my experience, we're always looking to modify that program to make it better, to manage the herd, which left unchecked would multiply and multiply and multiply. And there needs to be a deer management program in a densely populated county as ours. And I think this is simply an expansion of that program in areas where we think we can thin the herd and manage the population. And that is kudos to the city of Plainfield and also to Kane University for recognizing that they need help in that area to manage the herd of deer and to participate in the process. Director Zuber, do you want to add anything to that, please?
No, Chairman, that's basically the gist of the whole thing. Both Plainfield and Kane University have requested our assistance in deer management. And to be clear about Kane University, it's not the main campus on Morris Avenue. We're talking about behind Liberty Hall, where the university owns property. It runs along the Elizabeth River, and there's a lot of deer that affect their business over there. They have both a restaurant, plus they have tours that go through the property, and the deer are pretty much decimating both areas of that. So we were asked to help out.
All right, Mr. Hahn, I hope that helps. Director Zuber, thanks for your comments and Clerk of the board, is there any other people waiting to contribute?
The last member of the public is Victoria Vasquez.
I don't have any questions at this time. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Vasquez. All right, so at this time, I'll formally close this portion of the meeting and ask for a motion to accept resolutions 2020-674 through, Jim, is it 2020 720 or 721?
It's 721, sir.
721. Can I have a motion for that, please?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Granados. May I have a second? I see
Second.
Freeholder Mudet. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garrettson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak. I'm sorry. Freeholder, you're muted.
Jim. I to all with the exception of 22690, I'll abstain on that one due to the involvement of Kane University.
Freeholder Kowalski,
Yeah.
Freeholder Palmieri Mudet,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Aye.
Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative on all resolutions with the exception of Resolution 2020-690, where you have 6 votes in the affirmative with 1 abstention.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. We're going to move on to freeholder reports and comments. I'm going to start as I do, at least on my screen, and go across, and it's Freeholder Hudak, who is first.
A couple of brief comments this evening. First, I'm very happy to see the pumpkin sale is going to be returning this year. That's one of my favorite events, certainly one of the favorite events of my children and families all throughout Union County. And I want to commend the park staff who's really been adaptable in the coronavirus crisis. And I'm just so happy that this particular program is going to be able to be done over a couple of days, socially distanced and safe. Additionally, Chairman, congratulations on the grant for restaurants. I know when we talked about the first tranche of funding for CARES grants, we did talk about doing something specific for the restaurants. I'm happy to see that, some have been able to open for limited indoor seating, but, there's still a very big desire for people who want to eat out to eat outside, so that restaurants will be able to take advantage of this to keep their businesses vibrant as the weather gets colder is a good thing. And then lastly, I received a call from representatives from the Linden Education Association earlier this week in inquiring about our testing facility because many districts are looking to transition back to in-person instruction over the course of this year and looking to partner with the county to make sure that their members had access to the testing facility. And of course they are. Many are residents of the county and we do accept all public employees into that facility. But we've been working this week with Jessica Cohen from the county manager's office, who has reached out in addition to the LEA to the Union County Education Association. And they're going to be launching an initiative called Union County Cares for Our Teachers, which will allow mobile testing to be marketed to members of various communities for teachers who are doing in-person instruction in after-school hours. So, they have the ability to come after work and take advantage of the programming. I know there have been multiple, and I know many of the freeholders, actually all of the freeholders, have had the opportunity to go to the mobile testing sites. There was one today in Linden at the Linden Housing Authority. They're extraordinarily well run. The results are very quick. Freeholder Mudet and I both did a test in Rawway last week. I had my results back by dinner time at Saturday. So you get a very quick response. And I think it's a very good thing that we'll be partnering with our educators, who I know many members of that group are concerned, as those parents are, about sending their children back to the schools. So too are the teachers, the other part of that equation. So anything we can do to ease anxiety for those members who are going back is a good thing, and we're very proud to partner with the Union County Education Association and all the unions and all the teaching groups in Union County to make sure we get more testing out to our residents. Thank you, Chairman.
Great. Thank you, Freeholder, and for your leadership in that area. Great job. Freeholder Mudet.
Thank you, Chairman. I agree with you, Freeholder Hudak. The testing sites, especially the new saliva testing, has been really efficient and so well run. So I thank everyone who is involved in that. October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm just urging women of age or with a family history to please make sure you schedule your mammogram for the year. And I'm happy to say that on October 13th, we will be joining the County of Union at our administration building. Will be lighting up the front entrance for metastatic breast cancer awareness. And we're doing this along with several other municipalities and counties throughout New Jersey. And I'm proud to be supporting those efforts that are being made by residents right here in Union County. So with that, I will close and have a good night, everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Granados.
Thank you, Chairman. Just want to keep it brief and continue to thank all our county employees, county volunteers, residents from the community, and even this past weekend, King University students who continue to give back and continue to be involved every single week when it comes to our food distribution program, and continue to be active and making sure that they're helping us out. And I know Kane this past week, I believe, had around 40, 50 different volunteers who came out to help out. And it truly shows the great initiatives that Union County has when it comes to giving back and being involved in community. So I just once again thank our administration, thank our volunteers, and thank our county employees for continuing to being a shining light for so many individuals in need. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. I know that Administrator Dorado and County Clerk Rajapi will be getting out more about this, but I just want to remind people that if you have not yet voted, please fill out your ballot, follow the instructions. You can go to unioncountyvotes.com on the computer and see a video about how to fill out your ballot. A lot of people have voted already, but many have not. And according to the governor's executive order, it's fewer polling places than it has been in the past. So you have to pay attention. If you are a disabled person and you want to vote in person, you will be able to do that at the voting machine. But everyone else, we urge you to vote by mail and do it as soon as possible. And if you need help, you can go online or you can call the county clerk's office. And that's it for me tonight. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder Kowalski. Freeholder Garrettson.
Thank you so much, Chairman. So I just wanted to say thank you again and to the board who congratulated all the recipients from the county and also the state who made the list on the ROI influencers of color. I also want to recognize Freeholder Staten and yourself. You mentioned this earlier about the Veterans Office. It was an exquisite event. I thought it was lovely. So a big shout out to both Jana and Brandon. They did a phenomenal job. And all the folks who were at Galloping Hill who were able to facilitate that program. I also wanted to thank all the organizers that launched the Wonderful Wednesdays to educate allies and members of the LGBTQ community. So those Wednesdays is every Wednesday. I just think it's a really cool initiative. So if you have not seen the flyer or you need information, please check it out because it's really wonderful just to educate yourself about a community that is truly important to our county. I also, a little bit on a more somber note, I wanted to just recognize that the COVID numbers are increasing in the state in certain counties. So we must remain very vigilant. we must be very aware, because where one county goes, we all go. So we need to really be mindful as we think about what's happening with COVID on so many levels. It really impacts us. We're doing a lot of great programs, but if we don't have folks remaining safe and diligent and just really encouraging others to stay safe, it can really impact our entire state. So we have an important election coming up. So in a nonpartisan way, we want to make sure everybody gets out there and vote, but also know that we want to stay healthy and safe. Have a great night. And my last comment is that October makes me happy because it's my happy birthday month. So as we say goodbye to September, we hope that October will bring some good news for many of us. So thank you. Have a great night. And we really appreciate you spending time with us this evening.
Thank you, Freeholder. And Freeholder Staten.
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. I'll be brief. I think my colleagues have covered a lot of ground that I was going to touch on. So I'd just like to remind everyone that we are down to the wire with the census. Union County is currently at 70.8%. Our goal is to have 100% response rate. So please, if you haven't or you know a senior who hasn't, please respond to the census. Also, don't forget to mail in your voter ballots and, give our seniors assistance. Sometimes they can be overwhelmed, but please get those ballots back in as soon as possible. That's very important. Also, I'd just like to advise Roselle residents in Union County that Roselle will be hosting another COVID mobile testing program on October 24th. That'll be on a Saturday. This will actually be our second one. The first one, we had over 300 people come. So as the chairman said, there is definitely a need in the community, and the county wants to provide the services that are needed. We will also host a flu shot clinic on October 22nd. And there'll be more details to follow on both of these events. I encourage everyone to please look out for the information, times, and locations for those clinics. And I'd also like to add, in case you missed the chairman's message about the emergency food distribution this Saturday, it'll be held at Cedarbrook Park, the Park Avenue entrance, and that will begin at 9 a.m. No family in Union County should go hungry. These food distributions are available for our residents every Saturday. So please, if you know someone that's in need, please come by and pick up a box of produce and fresh food. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be safe, everyone.
Very good. Thank you, Freeholder. And with that, we have such a terrific Freeholder team. Everybody's contributing in their own way as best they can, and the teamwork I see is just amazing. So I don't have anything really to add, except I do want to note, I think Freeholder Garrettson mentioned the LGBTQ events. The next two that are coming up on Wednesday, October 14th, and they're all online. You could just either watch it via Facebook Live or participate via Zoom. Queer Pioneers and Activists. That's at 7 o'clock on the 14th. And on October 28th is the Trans Experience. So those are the next two coming up, but there's a lot of information on the website. And we often refer to the website on a regular basis for information. And I appreciate the work. I think Robert Charkowski takes a lot of the lion's share of the updates and making sure that's a readable site. But we push a lot of people to that site, and it's really important. There's so much information there. Just to familiarize yourself with that website, I think would do yourself a lot of good as a county resident, keeping abreast of what is going on. So thank you, Robert, and thank you to the public. I do know that there's a need for this board to go into an executive session. So I'm going to ask County Council to make the statement relative to tonight's executive session. Bruce?
Thank you, Chairman. Pursuant to provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, a public body may enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing certain enumerated subjects. This board now wishes to enter executive session for the purpose of discussing attorney-client privileged communications and discussions relative to possible contract negotiations and potential litigation in conjunction therewith. The minutes of the executive session shall be separated from the minutes of the open public session. The minutes of the executive session, redacted as appropriate and necessary, shall be available in approximately 30 days. The clerk to the board shall retain the original minutes until such time as the confidential limitations have been removed, at which time they shall be made available. Upon the affirmative vote of a majority of the members present, the board may retire to executive session. Upon the board's return, it will not take formal action on the matters discussed this evening. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, County Council. May I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Kowalski. I'll second it by Freeholder Garrettson. I don't know if you were seconding that or just raising your hand, but and Mr. Clerk, please call the roll to go into executive session.
Freeholder Garrettson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak, Freeholder Hudak.
I'm muted.
No,
I'm reading his lips. The thumbs up. That is a yes. Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad,
aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative to enter into an executive session. Chairman, if I may, just so for the public's knowledge, we are going to now close this meeting. We're going to go into an executive session, which is a separate meeting. Once we're done with that executive session, we will then come out of that new meeting, and that session will be streamed live on Facebook for us to essentially vote to return to the meeting, and then essentially vote to adjourn for the night. So at this point, we are able to go into executive session.
Thank you. Good night.
Okay, can I have a motion to return from executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Freeholder Garrettson, second by Freeholder Muedad. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Garrettson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak. I see that's a yes. Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella.
Aye.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative to return from executive session.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Clerk. County Council Bergen, is there anything to announce as a result of the executive session?
Nothing to report at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, so having said that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Freeholder Staton, seconded by
Hudak.
Freeholder Muedad. Mr. Clerk, please call the roll. Keep him busy right to the end.
I'm going to scratch out Hudak and write Muedad.
Oh, is that I wait till the very last one to mess it up this time.
Freeholder Garrettson,
Yes.
Freeholder Granados,
Aye.
Freeholder Hudak. That's a yes. Freeholder Kowalski,
Yes.
Freeholder Palmieri Muedad,
Aye.
Freeholder Staton,
Yes.
and Chairman Mirabella. Chairman, you have 7 votes. We are adjourned.
Thank you, Jim. Have a good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good job.